Hello, colleagues, and welcome to the next episode of DINCast, where I've got a fantastic leader for you to hear from today. I'm delighted that Ruud Veltenaar, philosopher and future thinker based over there in the Netherlands with a fantastic bookcase behind him, is joining us today to share with some of his thoughts around how we reimagine leadership and the challenges that we face. So, Ruud, welcome along today.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
So, for those of you who have not sort of read any of your materials or watched any of your keynote speeches and things like that, tell us a bit about yourself and your background and how you've got to where you are.
Yes, well, you just said that I'm a philosopher and future thinker. That's what I mainly are. I also teach leadership and philosophy at the Business University Nijrode, and I write books now and then. And my keynotes, my lectures, my books are all about the big transformation to the next phase in our society. I have a background as a business leader. I've led companies all over the world on all continents, big, small, sometimes even stock quoted. And I have a background as an impact investor.
And so as a result of all of that and where you now sort of sit looking at leadership, what do you see as the biggest challenges that leaders and organizations now face?
Oh, there are many, and that's good news because that means that we can have a lot of fun in the near future. And when we transform leadership from short-term focus to long-term focus, from a focus on goals to a focus on the purpose related to non-negotiable values, when we focus on making money to doing good, and doing well, making money is a result of doing good, creating value.
But that must be quite hard, Ruud, in terms of how leaders are currently measured and rewarded, and how boards and shareholders.
Oh yes, that's one of the problems. But to be honest, I think our leaders are not only overpaid a lot, but they are also how do you say that? We don't see enough how important or unimportant they are for a company. I'll give you an example in related to this problem. If you are a leader of a huge stock quoted company, I can mention a lot of names, but the names are not very relevant. If you leave tomorrow the company because you hit a tree, or you were sent away, or you're gonna take your holiday on a 2-year sabbatical, does that mean for most companies that it will crash the day after? No, it doesn't. It continues because we will find a new leader. We will install a temporary board. We will install a wise commission of people. Everything continues. So why do we pay these people 300 times more than the average wage in the company? It doesn't make sense. So this is also a challenge for leaders, and understand that they are important. They have huge responsibility, but the transformation is not only about their companies, it's also about themselves. And if they are humans, and they all are, and they all care about CO2, they all care about social challenges. So what leaders should do at their work is bring themselves as a father, as a mother to the table and start caring.
So do I get in a sense that actually one of the big challenges around equity in terms of the businesses that you lead and the people that you lead within that actually we need to sort of compress things down a bit so everybody's got a share in the business?
Well, it's easier than that, because this is, let's say, a technical systematic discussions, but it's easier than we should all go back to the purpose. The meaning, find an answer to the $1 million question: is the world better or worse off if our company doesn't exist any longer tomorrow? And for most companies, it counts that if they're gone, the world is better off because they destroy more value than they create. If you add social, ecological, and financial value together, far more than half of the stock quoted companies in this world create less value than they destroy. So the world is better off when they don't exist. So we should go back to the purpose, the why of Simon Sinek. Why do we exist as a company? And the answer is simple: to create value, to make money by solving the challenges, the risks, and the problems we have instead of making them worse.
So where do you see the I suppose, leadership sort of moving into the future then? So clearly the skills that have got us to where we are aren't the ones that's going to get us to where we need to be in the future.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of academic research done on conscious leadership and thought leadership, but I talk about contextual leadership and compassionate leadership. And contextual leadership means that you understand the situation where you are in as a leader with your company or organization. And then if you understand the context, the challenges, the risks, and the capacities that are needed in that context, you ask yourself, do I fit as a leader and as a human being, as a person to this context? And certain contexts fits very well with leaders, other contexts which just changed doesn't fit any longer with you as a leader. So in contextual leadership, you understand and reflect every week, every month, every year, am I still the best leader for this company? And if you're not fit for the context, besides your talents and your capacities and your knowledge, but if you don't fit the context, you should do a step backwards, start contributing for the company in a different way, and make a space for a new leader that fits the concept. That's one. And that's very difficult because that means that you're not a leader forever. You are a leader for society in the context that is relevant. And then otherwise you step. And the good thing is about stopping something creates an opportunity to do something new. But it's difficult for people. So that's one. Contextual leadership is very important. And we will go to contextual leadership because the crisis is accumulating. So there's no choice in the end. We need different kind of leaders that can face the challenges and start acting in the common interest instead of only the interest of one stakeholder, which is the shareholder. So that's one. And the other one is compassionate leadership. You care not from the head, not from your salary, not by paying your mortgage or your kids that went to university. A compassionate leader understands not only that he is a servant, but understand not only from, let's say, empathy, his stakeholders, but he is connected from the heart with all stakeholders. And the most important stakeholder is the mother of all stakeholders is, of course, Mother Earth. Because without the Earth, there is no society. Without society, there is no economy. So it's about contextual leadership in the future related to crisis, and it is connected to compassionate leadership from being a human being, being a good human being who wants to create value for all stakeholders, not only for one stakeholder.
And I get in a sense that there's a generational issue here there in terms of, because obviously I'm an old leader. I've been around a long time. It's quite hard for me to let go of some of the things I've learned over the years and do something new. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I feel challenged. I feel threatened around this. Sure. How do you balance that with some of the next generation of leaders who see these things through a different lens?
I agree that this approach, this vision, this utopia for realists on the horizon is a long path. It is not something we can transform in 10 years. It's probably something we cannot transform in one generation. It will take more generation because this kind of leadership was born 2-3 decades ago with the first industrial revolution, right? So what we build as a habit in the past 200-300 years cannot be changed by tips, tricks, and checklists in a week. There is no quick fix for this. So it is a cultural change. It's an attitude change, and that might take more than one generation. So where should that start? At home, at the breakfast table, when we discuss these issues with our kids, and at school, and not at the university. Then we're too late. It starts at elementary school. So we have to learn children when they are playing on the school grounds, that only together in radical interdependency, you can do something great.
And so are there any particular beacons or companies or organizations or people that you would say, actually, these are good examples, these get it, and these are actually doing this? Because there's a big difference between talking about something and actually.
I agree. Well, because we see a lot of greenwashers, we see a lot of purpose washers. And what I always do when I talk to companies or for companies who said that they are sustainable and social, and I said, that's fantastic. And then I do I call them, are you an illusionist tests? So then I ask them, can you show me the 10 most important key performance indicators on your management cockpit? And when they give their 10 most important key performance indicators, then I see if they are an illusionist or if they truly walk the talk. Because that are 10 indicators is what they use every day to steer and lead the organization. And if they're all financial, if they're all economical, then it's just greenwashing and purpose washing. And it's dangerous because then you create expectations to your employees and other stakeholders, which you not fulfill. So this organization in the end will collapse by promises that were never met. But there are many companies who are doing it. Many, thousands, tens of thousands. I give you two interesting examples. And you can find them all on the internet. The listeners can find them on the internet. First, are you familiar with B Corps?
Yes. Yes.
In Rome, where I was speaking, there were more than 1,000 B Corps leaders. And there was also the first B Corp in the world in the 90s. And this guy, the CEO of Greystone Bakery, is also a member of the Club of Rome. And the Greystone Bakery started in the 90s. And the purpose of the Greystone Bakery, and they have now how do you call them, venues all over the United States. And they started the company with the idea there are a lot of Americans who can't find a job because they were in prison for a decade, they were junkies, they don't have a house, they don't have a passport, they don't have the credentials. We started a company to give these people a job. So they started with what they call an open hiring policy. So they bought a factory and invited everybody who has no job and a difficult background. And there were huge white papers on the walls. And if you write your name and your phone number, you will get a call and you can start doing the work after the phone call without questions asked. So that's open hiring. And because they bought a factory, they start hiring people. They said, what are we going to do with these people? Because our goal is to hire people. That's the goal. It's the social goal, to solve social issues and poverty. So what we're going to do is we're going to bake cookies and muffins. So they started the company to contract people. And by fulfilling this purpose, they start making muffins. It's the other way around. It's not we're going to make muffins and we have to find people. They found people, and what are we going to do to give them a better life? We bake cookies. This is a fantastic example of compassionate leadership. And the only thing I ask in Rome to the CEO, fantastic, everything is brilliant and perfect. But if you want to be, let's say, ultimate perfect, don't bake muffins, but something that is healthy.
Absolutely. And that sort of leads me on to a question around, we hear a lot of talk about the Great Resignation. COVID has made people reevaluate the kind of organizations they want to sort of work for. So what would your advice or what would your views be around organizations who are looking to attract and retain talent? What do they need to do differently?
My idea is also related to purpose. To be honest, it is an extreme privilege if you are a leader of a company that you are in a position to enable people to reflect and explore their potential. That you are in a privileged position to unleash the passion of people. And when they work together in radical interdependency in and outside your company, to be of value for society within the limitations of our planet. So that's one. So it is not about how can I develop the potential of my employees, give them a decent wage, give them a vision and a path to the development of their potential within the borders and goals of the company. No, it is all about social mobility. How do I invest in people so that it reflect their potential, ask themselves the question, where am I also very good at? Besides what I do today, where can I become even better? Not better compared to others, but better in relation to your own mediocrity, right? So how can I become not the best of the world, but best for the world? How can I, as an employee, develop the potential for people every day, every week, every month, not only during their employment and related to their employment, but also related to their lives, so that when they leave the company or when they send away or the company is sold or when the company goes down, you are still in a mode and a mantra. Where am I good at? What is my passion? How can I be of value? Not until I go with pension, but until you go into a coffin.
Right.
So if you as a company and as a leader start reflecting, developing potential, not only in relation to your own interests for the company, but for society, and you fulfill the purpose of the company yourself, then it's very easy to attract people, create loyal employees, and to have them on board for a long time. I give you an example. Another B Corp. It's called Interface. They make tiles. And Ray Wilkinson, the CEO and founder of this company 30 years ago, came to a conclusion and a reflection. If we continue to making tiles the way we do, I end up in jail because we destroy a lot of value in this world. So in less than 20 years, which is very short, it's a nanosecond when you compare it to Cosmos, in 20 years, he translated his company and transformed his company, I must say, from a company that is, let's say, destroying a lot and not becoming a net zero company, but a net positive company, a company who creates more than they take. And he had a philosophy for his factories. It's called factory as a forest. And it means that his factories making tiles takes more carbon out of the air producing tiles than when the tiles goes into the market. So every day he makes a better world by making tiles.
Brilliant.
Any idea how proud people are working at this company and how loyal they are to this company?
I can well imagine in terms of, you know, that purpose, but I suppose my question back to you, is it possible then to balance profit with purpose? Because we are so used to buying consumer goods and items at the lowest possible cost, and particularly when we've got a cost of living crisis going on. Yeah, I know. How do you persuade people that actually, you know, you've got to do some good if you haven't got a lot of money?
It's difficult, and it is not doable, let's say, within the current system. Because the current system is based on, let's say, not the right fundamentals. To be honest, and that's what I teach my own children, where I stimulate my own students. If you have a product and that product is no longer profitable, or is only profitable by destroying social and/or ecological value, you should stop. You should stop the company by the awareness that the world is better off when you as a company no longer exist, and the employees will find another job because there is an overload of work. So with your large profit, reshuffle your employees, re-educate them so that they can be of value at other companies. But let's say, and to be very honest, if you think as a shareholder or as a leader that making money by destroying social and ecological value is normal, then something went wrong when you were born. There was a lack of oxygen because it is not normal. That's what we're doing for the past 200 years. But we should come to senses and understand that this way, this approach will collapse the system. Climate change is the biggest cure, the most fantastic medicine that is invented by nature, teaching people a lesson that we are on the wrong path and we should change. We still have 15 years of time to change, talking about these topics and implement them in the systems and society and our companies. If we don't, we create a problem that is bigger than us as 9 billion people. It's bigger than all religions. It's bigger than all political systems. It is something that becomes bigger than societies and our economy. And that problem will be, let's say, among us in the second part of this century and will force us to change. So one way we change ourselves, it costs less money and less pain the next 15 years, or we don't, and then we get in a different track. And that's when nature bounces back and forces us to change. So in the end, everything will be okay.
Well, Ruud, I mean, you're the first philosopher I've interviewed on DINCast, and there's so many insights and thoughts there for my members to sort of take away. So I could talk to you for a lot longer. We've reached the end of the time for this DINCast. So thank you so much for your time. And I do
welcome,
I hope we can work with you again and perhaps get you across to the UK and do something in person with you as well. But it's been lovely speaking to you, sir.
Yes, and I wish all the best for your listeners.